This is a Swad Walker, Associate Editor of the Defender Network, doing a spotlight on a young man that, you know how whenever folk talk to young adults, they say they're going to change the world. This young man's already doing it. His name is Anthony Collier. And those of you watching this video, you've probably already heard of him and just some of the things that he has accomplished. But we want to talk about those things and, you know, what he sees for himself in the future. So, Mr. Collier, thank you, sir, for allowing us to put the spotlight on you.
Thanks for having me. I'm a huge fan, and I read y'all all the time, and I appreciate you for doing this.
Oh, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. So, if memory serves me correctly, when I first heard of you, when you first came to my attention, you had won some national, some international business or tech competition. I don't remember the specifics. I just remember saying, man, this young man, he's about to do some things. So can you remind me about what that was?
Sure. So I won first place at the international competition for entrepreneurs in Montego Bay, Jamaica at the University of the West Indies.
What? Okay, all right. So, I mean, I know that you're going to law school now, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the business, the tech thing, where did that come from? Was that always a part of your mix?
Well, it came about from, at the time, I was volunteering in Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's district office. And I happened to meet a guy from India who was a businessman from India, and we spoke about his business idea, and I told him that I would help him out. And so I kind of got involved in the process, and I made him a business plan, and I kind of helped him along throughout the process. And the opportunity came for this international business competition, and I said, well, I'm kind of knee deep in the business right now. I'll put a team together. So I went to the business school at TSU, recruited some of the business students and let them handle a lot of the nuts and bolts, but I oversaw the operation, made sure we were on pace to get all of our stuff in on time, you know, really played the quarterback of the situation. And, you know, we went to the competition and we won.
Okay, so you mentioned just so casually that as a teenager, you approached this international businessman and you got involved in the business. What gave you the nerve, the audacity, the confidence to even have that conversation, and then, as you say, to be the quarterback of the entire operation?
I've just been blessed. I'm a people person. I enjoy talking to people. When I was on the debate team at TSU, Dr. Gloria Roberts, who's the head coach at the time, she would always tell me stories about Mickey Leland when he was at TSU and when he was on the debate team, and how everywhere he went, he spoke to people. Anybody who walked by, he told them good morning, he asked them how they were doing. So I just tried to emulate that and be kind of like Mickey Leland. So anybody who walked in the office, anybody I saw on the Tiger Walk, I would always speak. And it just so happened when I spoke to this person, we hit it off. We had a great conversation. So just learn from the debate team and from other greats who came from TSU.
That's a powerful story. And speaking of TSU, I want to know, what was it about that school that made you say, that's where I want to go? Are you originally from Houston?
I was born in Houston, but I was raised out in Central Texas.
Okay.
So I chose TSU because, I read The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, and it really inspired me to want to go to an HBCU. And Texas Southern University is the only HBCU in Houston. And so that's what initially put TSU on my radar. Also, when I went to a Mid and Students Day, they took us to the debate team office and I met Dr. Freeman. And I was eventually immediately captivated by him. He just had this magnetic aura about him. It was just something about him. I was like, this is a man I need to learn from. This is a man I need to study. This is somebody I want to spend some real time with. So after meeting Dr. Freeman, I was sold. And I came, I joined the debate team, got a scholarship, and it's been on ever since.
All right. So a little bit more about TSU. How would you grade your TSU experience, and how did TSU shape the person that you are right now?
I would give TSU, A plus. TSU really changed my life. It really transformed me. I did a complete 180. TSU, before I went to TSU, I had never been outside of Texas, and they allowed me to travel the nation and then travel the world. I went to 7 different countries, all fully paid for. So they really exposed me to so much. I never owned any suits before going to TSU. The first time I ever put a suit
I can't believe that, because I don't ever see you not in a suit.
Yeah. So I got my first suit because I joined the debate team on a Wednesday night, and Dr. Freeman said, we're having a tournament tomorrow. We're traveling Thursday through Sunday. Do you have a suit? And I said, I don't. He said, well, you got about 19 hours to get one. I want you to travel with the team. And so I got my first suit. It was a black suit. I wore it that whole weekend. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up dressing up, is because of the debate team.
Okay. So at TSU, you're part of the debate team. Were you part of any other organizations, or was that enough?
I was part of the Student Government Association, the Collegiate 100, the Pre-Law Society, a couple of other organizations, but those are the main ones the NAACP. And so, yeah, I was pretty active on campus at TSU.
Right. So after Texas Southern, you have this powerful experience. You're growing as a human being and as a Black man. What was the next stop on your educational journey?
Mm-hmm. So after Texas Southern University, I studied at Cairo University in Egypt in a master's in law and economics program. I was a Rotary International Global Grant Scholar. So the Rotary Foundation fully funded my education in Cairo.
Any particular memories of that experience?
Yeah, well, I would say that the poverty there was something interesting. Like seeing that firsthand was kind of a life-changing experience. Also learning about like some of the progressive leaders out there in the past who put a cap on rent that still stands to this day. I believe his name was Nasir, President Nasir, who's from the era of, Dr. King, Malcolm X, and Kwame Nkrumah, of those great Black leaders. But Nasir, he put a cap on rent there. And to this day, rent is still the same price that he set back then. And I think that his idea was correct, but his approach could have been amended to where maybe putting a cap that adjusts with inflation, so that it's constantly rising, but because the people who own the places, they have to be able to eat too, right? Because if not, they have no incentive to improve the conditions for the people, and so those housing units become slums,
Yeah.
And so, so that's something that I learned out there that really stuck with me, and I think that's something that we could probably do with the minimum wage here, like tie the minimum wage to inflation, because right now the value of minimum wage today is less than the value of what it was when FDR first put it in place, which is terrible.
That's right. So when did the University of Texas come into the picture, and how has that experience been, my old alma mater?
Sure. So, let me back up a little bit. So it really started because I did the Texas Legislative Internship Program while I was at TSU. So my junior year at TSU, they were trying to get me to do TLIP initially. First, I said no because I was like, I'm running for student body president. I need to be, on the yard right now. But Senator Boris Miles came up to TSU, went to Dr. Adams at the Barbara Joy Mickey School of Public Affairs, and he said, "Give me your best student. I want a TLIP student. Give me your best student." Dr. Adams called me on my cell phone and said, "I got somebody who wants to talk to you." And it was Senator Boris Miles, and he offered me an internship. At first I said no, for the same reason. I was like, can't do that right now. But then after we got off the phone, I sat there for a minute, and I realized that this was not an opportunity I could pass up. I got a state senator calling my cell phone, like, I have to take this. So I called back and was like, I changed my mind because I still had a position. And he graciously accepted it. So that's how I got my foot in the door. Now, in the gap year between undergrad and law school, I was a legislative director in the Texas House of Representatives to Representative Ron Reynolds. And so While I was working in Rep. Reynolds' office, like in January, I got a call from the University of Texas School of Law, basically saying they wanted me to go there, and they gave me a full scholarship. And so since they gave me the full scholarship, since I was already living in Austin, working at the Capitol, since I already had an apartment downtown near the law school, because I was working at the Capitol, that's kind of why I decided to go to Texas Law. It kind of just fell into place.
Okay. Okay. You happy with that decision?
I am. I've had a great time at Texas Law. I have. It's been a very successful tenure so far, and I still have a year to go.
All right. So I've noticed a pattern here through your answers. You worked with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, Representative Ron Reynolds, State Senator Boris Miles. So is politics in your future?
It does seem to be a bug I can't shake at this point. I'm not sure in what capacity, because I am in law school. I am interested in practicing law. And I am interested in civil rights law. I was a NAACP 2020 law fellow. My first summer, so I worked on impact litigation, suing the Trump administration in the Supreme Court. And while I was there, we actually defeated the Trump administration in the Supreme Court over DACA. A lot of people don't know that was the NAACP who won that DACA victory in court. And so just being a part of that team was an incredible experience. So I am interested in civil rights law as well, but I can't rule out politics either, because I just love it. It's a great experience. And even the work that we're doing here and during this session, like passing a duty to intervene bill, passing a ban on chokeholds, these are things that people said would never happen. But but we're delivering that for our constituents and for everybody in the state of Texas. So I do enjoy the work.
And I'm already scared of your resume, brother. But you're talking about enjoying your experience at UT. I get a press release about a press conference coming down from Austin, and I see your name all over it, and I see all these other leaders, and they're about to have this press conference speaking out about the current issue at the University of Texas, singing "The Eyes of Texas." What led you to step up, step out, speak out on that particular issue?
So people were concerned. Students were concerned about the issue, about their mental health. For one, "The Eyes of Texas" is a deeply offensive and racist song. It debuted at a minstrel show. It was created for a minstrel show, or a minstrel show is basically, calling it a minstrel show is almost like putting a little ribbon on top of something so egregious. A minstrel show is where racist white people went and mocked Black people and basically insulted our humanity. They made fun of us. They put on blackface, and they said the N-word and a bunch of offensive things. So this song was created for a minstrel show. It's set to the tune of "I've Been Working on the Railroad," which is also a racist, terrible song that students at Princeton used to mock Black workers. And that a song that used the N-word several times. And so it's set to the tune of "I've Been Working on the Railroad." And the phrase, "The eyes of Texas are upon you," comes from Confederate leaders. They use that term, "The eyes of the Confederacy are on you," to inspire Confederate troops to fight to keep Black people enslaved. So from its inception, the song has been deeply racist and offensive. And the reason why it's getting pushback lately is because students started to realize the origins of the song. So about 10 years ago, the basketball team, when they found out, they said, we're not singing this song at basketball games anymore. That was the beginning. And from there, the student government started to debate the merits of the song. And so there had been an underlying movement of students for the past 10 years fighting against the song. But when George Floyd happened, that's when it got international attention. Students had already been against the song, but once George Floyd happened, it got international attention. And then the football team said, we're not singing this song anymore either. The football team joined with the student activists, and that's how we ended up here. Now, the reason why I got involved, they reached out to me because the president put out a commission to try to convince people that the song was okay, right? And so they basically, students were like, we're not okay with this. And so I myself, along with Gary Bledsoe is the president of the Texas NAACP and a mentor of mine. Representative Reynolds, who's the vice chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus and who I worked for last session before I went to law school. And student leaders, the president of the Black Band Students, and another young brother named Zion James, who's an organizer on campus and works with the Black Students Union. We organized this protest, this press conference, to basically let it be known that this is unacceptable. And the Texas Tribune released emails basically saying that some of the donors, the wealthy donors who kind of put the plug in the back of the UT administration, they told him, you need to make a commission to convince people that the song is okay. And the president, and I have nothing against the president, but he basically came out and said, we're going to keep the song and we're going to establish this commission to study the origins of the song. But we have documented evidence that these donors told you to do that. So it was a foregone conclusion that you were going to keep the song. And what was the point of the commission, right? So that's what we were speaking out about. And this is an issue that's not going to go away. As soon as the football season comes back, it's going to be right back in the spotlight. And eventually the song is going to have to be removed. It's going to have to change. And 10 to 20 years from now, we're going to look back and say, I can't believe there were people advocating to keep this racist song. In 2021, like, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, and I just heard where the band members were basically given an ultimatum: either you play it or you can't be in the band anymore. So this is an issue, like you said, that's definitely not going away. Just a couple more questions. You were elected the chair of the National Black Law Students Association. What did that honor feel like, and what are some of the responsibilities? Because it's not all about just the honor, right? It's about responsibilities.
Yes, it's a complete honor. And I have to say, so I'm currently the student body president at the University of Texas School of Law. And I do believe that position kind of helped prepare me to be chair of the National Black Law Students Association. And I think when I got into UT, I didn't realize the significance of it. But when I was at the National Black Law Students Association convention and people found out I was SBA president at Texas Law, like, the response I got, I was like, oh, I guess this is kind of a big deal. Like, I didn't realize it. Maybe coming from Texas Southern, like, I've seen so much and I've been exposed to so much that to me, it was just another day at the office, And so people started telling me, like, you should consider running for chair of NBASA. You should consider running for chair of NBASA. And so I thought about it. I spoke to some of my friends who were leaders in NBASA, and I decided to go for it. I ran against a brother who goes to Notre Dame. He was a very capable, a great man, but ultimately the membership chose me. And NBASA is the largest student-run nonprofit in the nation. We represent every Black law student in the United States, but we have 6,000 dues-paying members. And so, exactly, it's incredible. It was founded in 1968, the same year Dr. King was assassinated. It's an organization rooted in the struggle, and our mission is centered around helping, Black law students, helping Black law students get into law school, but not only that, be successful while in law school, and to go off and be culturally responsible attorneys when they graduate from law school. And so my duties, it's not a traditional student organization because we're a registered 501c3. So I'm chairing an international nonprofit. And so, some of the things I'm working on right now is establishing the NBASA Pre-Law Fellows. I've already got 20 scholarships secured that are fully funded, that are gonna help, these Black college kids, first generation college students get into law school. Some of the other things I'm working on, of course, is a pre-law symposium, academic and chapter leadership retreat, job fair to help students get jobs, and then we're going to have our our convention. It's looking like it's going to be in Miami, Florida, but we're going to vote on that within the next week to secure a location.
So tell me how you figured out how to put more than 24 hours in a day. How did you do that? Man, Lord have mercy. Okay, man, we're coming down to the end. So going to law school, was that your dream goal, to become a lawyer when you were growing up as a child, or was there some other aspiration?
Actually, no. So growing up, I didn't know any lawyers. I'm a first generation college student. And so when I went to Texas Southern University, I mentioned an organization called the Collegiate 100, which is the college auxiliary of the Metro 100, which is a organization of Black businessmen and political leaders. And so before I was even in Collegiate 100, some of my friends were upperclassmen at TSU. This was my freshman year, and they invited me to a panel discussion at the University of Houston. And the crazy thing is, that same day, it was a concert going on in at Prairie View. And I was going to go to the concert, but something said, go to this panel discussion. And I was like, all right. I told my other friends, and I don't even hang out with them anymore, which is crazy. But I was like, I'm not going to go to the concert, y'all. I'm going to check out this panel discussion. So at the panel discussion, Dr. Lee was speaking on the panel, who was, I believe, like the vice chancellor of the UH system, right, and Congresswoman Lee's husband, a brilliant attorney. And what he was saying on the panel, it was just captivating to me. And so I went up and introduced myself to him after the panel. And based off of our conversation, he told me, you should consider going to law school. And I was like, okay. And he said, he was the first person who told me. And then he said, we have this pre-law pipeline program at the University of Houston. I want you to apply for it. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So I applied for the program. I got in the pre-law pipeline program at the University of Houston. I was so successful in the program. I got the top trial advocacy award. I got the highest LSAT score. And that's when I started to realize that law school was something I could consider. I could see myself doing. And so I could give the UH program and Dr. Lee enough credit for exposing me to law school. And I can't give TSU enough credit for putting me in a position to be able to even receive that, you know?
Right. So with all the things you do, the people person that you are, and your willingness to take on responsibility, not just take it on, but meet it and just show out. What are the words that you live by? Do you have a mantra that inspires you to do all this good work?
Absolutely. So one quote that I live by, and this is something I saw when I was in Israel, and one of the Holocaust museums, but it said, I know that when I stand before God on Judgment Day, I won't be asked the question posed to Cain, where were you when your brother's blood was crying out for God? So I understand that I have an obligation to help my fellow man, because to whom much is given, much is required. And it's almost like Esther in the Bible, like God put me in this position for such a time as this. He didn't bless me to be student body president at Texas Law and chair of the National Black Law Students Association and give me all of these scholarships for my own benefit. He did it to advance his kingdom. He did it so that I can help others, so I can help those in need, and so I can inspire other young Black men and women who come from similar situations to let them know that you too can achieve, you know? So that's the motto that's what I live by.
So you're going to be a preacher too. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother. So this is it. Then you can get back to work. So I watch NFL Network. They have a show, Good Morning Football. This is the week of the draft. I've given myself permission to do that. You know, I've protested it. But anyway, Nate Burleson, one of the hosts, whenever they're interviewing one of the young men that's about to enter the draft, he says, okay, I don't need your humble voice right now. I need you to look into the camera and tell the world why you are the dude. Like, what is it that you bring to the table that is going to change the world? What is it about you?
What is it? I think it's really just God, honestly. I know you want me to be less humble, but I really think that there's a lot of young brothers who are just as smart, just as talented, just as ambitious, but for whatever reason they slipped between the cracks. And it easily could have been me. Like when I was in high school, I went to alternative school twice. I was always in the principal's office. I got 31 discipline referrals my first year, but I feel like the hand of God was really on me, and there were brothers in the church who stepped up to help me get on the right path. Like, and I always think about Malcolm X, how he wanted to be an attorney, but his teacher told him, you know, that's not a realistic job for a Negro, right? And how he ended up spending 8 years in prison because of mistakes he made at a young age. And I really believe if it had not been, because it easily could have been me. And there's so many sharp brothers, young brothers in the system right now who never got the chances that I got. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it is me. I think that it's the hand of God in my life and the people God has put in place, like great mentors who have been able to lead me down this journey. And I think that that's so important. It's like the roads that grew through the concrete. I just happened to slip through the cracks. But I want to remove the concrete and make a space for so many other young Black men and women to grow as well.
So as a minister, I love that answer, number one. And number two, that last thing you said about removing the concrete, I'm stealing that and I'm using that in my next sermon.
Amen.
Amen. All right, brother. I really appreciate you allowing us the opportunity to spotlight you. And I can't wait for people to read this article and to see this interview. So go continue changing the world, young man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And shout out